Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
So our bad tide ended, and the worst happened. I have 2 baby beavers who aren't going to survive because there's no water. My colony died due to my neglect. I own it. So we're going to do something that I don't want to do, but I had such great ideas that I don't want to completely start over and go through all this again. So I'm going to actually roll back the save. To before I got to that point, almost to the beginning of the last episode. And this time, we're going to see if I can make it past cycle 9, day 1.
A few minutes later.
So like any good Time Lord, we jumped in our TARDIS and went back to cycle 5, day 8. Because that was the last fixed point we had in our colony. So in attempts to save this, I'm just going to go ahead and go through to cycle 7, day 1. Because that was where everything started to spin out of control. And so I'm going to go ahead and just play up to that point, doing all the same things I did before. And we'll see where we're at that point. Because the droughts and the bad tides could change, which will drastically affect when I get to cycle 7, day 1. Anyways, I will be back at cycle 7, day 1.
Much later.
All right, we are on cycle 7, day 1. So in this timeline, a noticeable difference is that cycle 6 was 4 days shorter than the previous one. Luckily, we had a drought. The same. So the reason why I said this is where things started to spiral out of control is if you look at my population, my beavers are populated at 31. And I have food now, but I don't have sustainable amount of food for maybe more than 30 beavers. So I have turned these breeding pods off, which I'm actually getting ready to delete them. And we will probably cut these breeding pods down as well, go down to 2, to try and level out our population and keep it there. So I am very, very extremely used to playing the folktales. And the folktales, the population doesn't grow more than their housing slots. With the breeding pods, that's an extra difficulty to managing your beavers. So there's that. So as to not make the same mistake again, I have turned that down. But with it being shorter, also, we have not gotten our gear workshop built. So cycle 7, day 1, last time we had our gear workshop built. We were working on our smelter. Trying to recreate the exact same thing. I have used the science, but I don't have the means of building everything. So we've got our lumberjack over here and all of our trees planted. So our lumber shouldn't be too much of an issue. Our bottleneck for lumber, but it's also time to be strategic because I'm already on day 2 and we don't know how much water we're going to get before a bad tide hits even. But we got to get this gear workshop built so we can get this medium tank built. We've got one open beaver. We can change him into a worker. Hopefully that'll help with that situation. It's kind of funny watching the kits just run around and climb on top of things and just look out along the colony. If anything, this is a town. It's not a city yet. It's a town. It might be a village. We'll say it's a village. Yep, our population size is 31. We have one beaver that's homeless. I'm not ready to build another housing. I kind of wish you could just build like small tents. But that wouldn't be a beaver industrialist type of building. These militant industrials like to live in barracks. Alright, cycle 7, we got another drought inbound. Which, unlike the previous timeline, it was a bad tide. And then it was back-to-back bad tides for cycle 7 and cycle 8. Which did us in horribly. Due to not having enough stored food. And our water. We didn't have enough fresh water. Okay, our gear workshop is going. We're at 32 beavers. As soon as this one goes, I'm going to pause it. And then this one should have just finished, so I'll pause that. I'll leave these two running because that should sustain our population. So we just lost one beaver to old age. We have 3 without a house. And I don't know if this is new or if it's always been like that, but I've never actually clicked on the rock staircases and seen that you could demolish them. I just always, for the last time I remember clicking on one, I knew it was a set thing, like you couldn't really do anything about it. But that changes a whole lot. Okay, I'm putting in another berry storage because that will be useful and helpful. And then I will put in our gatherer that we had over here to pick these berries. Assign some priorities. And then I'm going to build my hauling post over here. Berries are our backup food. We may be using them to breed, but we're also going to need them if something happens and we run out of kohlrabies. Okay, we're at 34 beavers. I feel like it should level itself out because we're going to have a point where a group of beavers is going to die out faster than we've bred them. So it should bring our numbers back down. In the same respects, I don't like waiting for that. Oops, I did that again. I accidentally took out a set of roads so beavers couldn't get to their houses. Here's a quick note from the editor's desk. If you're wondering how I was able to redo everything, it's because I was actually watching the video for the previous episode before I started and while I was originally playing those couple of days or cycles. All right. I am going to get rid of this inventor because we have the other two going. Which will give us another hauler, hopefully. Since our hauling post is open. And that will help us get around. Man, our population is still increasing. And I'm afraid to just turn them off. You know what? I'm just going to turn them off. I want to try and keep us around 30. Once we drop down to 30, I'll turn them back on, actually. I will be back at the end of this drought. All right, cycle 8, day 1. Now, I know what I said about the homeless beavers and keeping my population at 30, but I also realized something. If I keep these 3 homeless beavers are keeping my well-being from going up beyond 4. Among other things that can be being done, but that's going to be a thing. So I might as well just put the housing there. So therefore, I can allow my well-being to go up and actually maybe help to keep the beavers alive and healthy longer. 739. Ooh, another drought approaching. Good. At least it's not a bad tide. But I think this will be 200 points well spent. Now, once we get this, we're still going to need a fermenter, even if we're making mushrooms, because the fermenter will turn the mushrooms into actual food. Oh man, I have a lot of injured beavers. Alright, our drought is about to start, but I've paused the smelter. We're down to 30 beavers. So I'm turning on 2 breeding pods now to try and get to see if we have a stable population at 30. Because that's all we can safely manage. Because as you can see, our kohlrabi numbers are dropping. Our berries are staying pretty high, but our kohlrabis are dropping. So after I get this other water tank built, my next priority is going to be getting this hydroponic garden built. And then I'll worry about getting a fermenter going and hopefully having a sustainable food source. Rookie mistake alert. Yep, tree's fully grown, and I forgot to put the cutting area. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. 64, 96 logs right there that I was missing out on because, yep, I made a rookie mistake. What are you doing, coach? It's rookie. It's rookie nonsense. Okay. It is cycle 9, day 1. And we are going to take a look because I'm actually thinking we are better off than where we were when everything went wrong. Just looking at not our food, but the actual size of our village. So I have taken the liberty of starting to collect this wood that's just sitting here, and after I'm done I can just get rid of this, or I can do something else, but that might have to wait, because right now our biggest problem is we don't have enough land, but we need sustainable food to grow our population to be able to get to the point where I can actually utilize everything and actually have a chance at making a sustainable colony. So, in that term, we got our hydroponic garden up, and it takes 192 hours to grow 45 mushrooms. It doesn't sound like a lot, but once they go through the fermenter, where's the food? The fermenter takes 4 mushrooms and turns it into 16 food. So essentially we'll be getting for 192 hours worth of work, or 194 hours give or take, transport time, we'll go from 44 mushrooms to 16 times 11, what's that, 170, I don't know, it's like 200, it's close to 200. I can't do mental math right now, my brain is kind of fried. Anyways, we'll get more food out of it for our work. So we're gonna end here, and we're gonna end here and you get to see it as it is, and we will come back to this in the next episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying. I normally play this as a very casual game, just as a stress relief thing, but playing it on hard is hard for me because I've been used to playing it on normal. So I'm still learning the ins and outs, especially with the Iron Teeth. I feel like they are way more difficult than the folk tales. But I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.